Welcome back everybody to the Comic Stand. Me and Spider-Man here with another week of the Comic Stand and another installment of movies that need to happen since you guys seem to love it so much. This week I'm going to tackle something that's very close to me, why there are no female movies anymore about female superheroes. So who better off than to start with than Supergirl, aka the Woman of Steel movie. Dun dun dun. But, you know, I feel like Supergirl should get her own movie. I feel like a lot of female superheroes should get their own movies. I feel like we're in a better time now where it's actually a lot better to introduce them versus just being, you know, all the male superheroes. And honestly, Supergirl has done a lot and has a lot of her own storylines where a movie can actually fit for her. So I'm just going to give some key points, you know, some stuff that can fit for her own movie. And let's just get started. We can show the slight origins of her home world and her descent to Earth, much like Kal-El. If you've watched Man of Steel, there was an empty pod that landed on Earth, which is her, and there was a prequel comic that explained her struggle and her fight before her planet exploded. So basically, this movie can take place kind of like before Man of Steel, and then present time, which is during Man of Steel. After Clark has done all his stuff with Zod and everything else, this movie can take place a lot during Man of Steel, but it has to take place before, during, and after, just so that everything come together and makes sense. And I feel like they can do that because Zack Snyder's an amazing filmmaker, an amazing person. We reference the Man of Steel, obviously. You know, we show her struggle to live up to a man that she barely knows, but feels that she is connected to. You know, like at first she's not gonna automatically know that hey, that's her cousin. You know, she's gonna think, you know, wow, she's gonna idolize this person, and it's gonna be like, you know, I want to be strong and I want to be just like that person. But we don't want to take it too far, like into Star Wars or into Game of Thrones, where you have more of a love for your sibling than you probably should. So we're just gonna cut that out. We show her human life as an orphan of sorts. I say give her like a different perspective of how she comes to terms with her abilities and how she comes to terms with her humanity, if you say so, of sorts. You know, Clark had, you know, his foster parents, and they loved him, raised him on a farm, and, you know, that's how he grew up with his morals and his values. So I feel like Supergirl should have more of like she was an orphan, she didn't really feel like she belonged, and, you know, not until, you know, she meets up with, you know, someone else, until that's when she learns her place. But I feel like having her grow in her strength as a strong woman would be a great presence to introduce, especially to a lot of, you know, people now who are like nervous or shy. Give this movie like, you know, growing up with your strength and being able to be a powerful, strong, independent woman, especially someone like Supergirl, who would be a perfect addition to strong and independent women that could, you know, help other people in the long run. We learned of Superman's heroic deeds, and, you know, she has this belief that she can be just like him, and then her powers start to manifest. What we don't know is that, you know, someone has been watching her of sorts since the whole thing with, you know, Superman and the whole battle with Zor-El, with Zod and everything else like that. We're gonna get to that in a minute, though. Just as a little homage, a little teaser comedic thing, give her a pet cat and name it Streaky, like Streaky the Super Cat, just because that was her signature pet. She learns how to control her gifts, and that's also part of her character development, where she learns that it's not as easy as, you know, as Superman made it seem. You know, it takes a lot of inner strength and outer mentality to control your great gifts, and how she'll control them is up to her. If we're allowed to, if it would work in the story, it would be really cool if they mentioned that she was somehow on Themyscira and was trained by the Amazons, and that way they could mention Wonder Woman and hopefully have that greenlight a movie, or if it's been greenlit already, just basically show she was on Themyscira at first and trained and all of that good stuff, just so that we can just, you know, try and get all this stuff out of the way. As for villains, for a Supergirl movie, it seems like a no-brainer. My personal favorite would be Livewire. Just that would be a really good starter villain to start out with. We can see Jax-Ur. He's like a male, like really strong character. We can also use Jack's aura. We could also remix it, maybe possibly as a woman, who knows, or we can use Faora Hu'ul, who is a Kryptonian martial artist who's out to kill Superman, but she gets to train and love Supergirl instead. And, you know, then they grow a bond from there. And finally, maybe Silver Banshee, because she's a really cool villain, and I feel like the three of them together will be a really good team to fight up against her eventually. Basically, what I feel like this movie could do is that Faora can raise and train Supergirl and be like a mother figure and a teacher to her. And, you know, she can have like you know, Livewire and Silver Banshee there also, and they can basically be like, you know, like a team of, you know, female women that go out and, you know, hunt men that do wrong to women and all that stuff. And, you know, Supergirl's been all for that until it gets a little too out of hand, and, you know, Livewire and Faora and Banshee start killing people for the wrong reasons, and thus Supergirl's going to have to basically, you know, have her final test and finally realize what's right versus, you know, the greater good. You know, I think, what would Superman do? You know, he would obviously stop them despite how much she cares for them, like her own sisters and like her own mother. So she basically has to stop the only thing she's known as family to basically prove that she can be a hero and she knows what's right and all this other stuff. We could also have supporting characters like Professor Hamilton, because we all know what he does. We all know what he could do. So I say we have Professor Hamilton be like a kind of father figure to her later on down the line or towards the end of the movie. This movie like also can end in a lot of different ways to bridge together the DC universe and introduce a lot of really good characters. One way the movie could end is that Henry Cavill shows up and he is so proud of her and so proud of what she's learned, and he finally learns that that's his cousin, that's who he's been looking for, and she's overcome strength and diversity to become the strong person that she has become, and he welcomes her into our family. He blindfolds her and takes her into the Fortress of Solitude, only to be greeted by Zor-El also telling her welcome to the family. That's one way the movie can end. Another way is that they meet up after the havoc has ended, only to have it interrupted by a bright light that appears behind her and a dark shadow opening up and grabbing and kidnapping her before they can even say anything. And we can find out that in a post-credit scene that she was kidnapped by Darkseid and is now on Apokolips, which could open up a Justice League movie sequel, or, because I don't think Darkseid should be the villain in the first one, I think they should open up to a Darkseid, you know, villain. They can show Apokolips, they can show Darkseid, they can show her being kidnapped, and then they can just, you know, let us all use our theories and bridge off the gap from there. But that would be another great way the movie could end. Another way is that Granny Goodness or anyone else from Apokolips, after everything's been said and done, she meets Clark, she defeats everyone, she defeats her enemies, you know, post-credit scene with her, you know, like doing her hair or something. Granny Goodness or anyone else from Apokolips shows up at a scene talking to her, and they are very proud of her that she's proven herself on Earth and gains the trust of Superman, only responding with the mission status. That's a hint that she had already been kidnapped and brainwashed by Darkseid, and he sent her to Earth to investigate, know what he's going to be up against soon, and then dwindle down the forces from there on out. Which is could also reference Darkseid also. And the Darkseid potential opens him up for a lot of different things, whether they want to face him up together in Justice League, or whether they want him to face him by himself in a Superman Man of Steel sequel, like the third one or anything. But the Darkseid door can be opened just by Supergirl herself. And I feel like in the right hand, this can be a very great door opening opportunity for the characters. And also what to do with the costume, I feel like Supergirl should have the t-shirt and the skirt at first, and then maybe down the line she'll have something like Henry Cavill's, like the long sleeves and the skirt. But I don't feel like she should have that at first, because she still has to grow into it of sorts. So I feel like maybe they should like use one of her other costumes and then have hers look more like Henry Cavill's later on down the line. But I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up for a future Supergirl movie. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. And I'm going to see you guys next week for more of the Comic Stand. Thank you guys so much.